And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Fits is a board game which took Tetris and made it into a board game. But I'm not here to talk about Fits, I'm here to talk about bits. Now, why am I talking about bits? Because Fits and Bits, you know, if board games had siblings, these would be fraternal twins. Fits is to Tetris as Bits is to Dr. Mario. They're both games and they have a very similar feel. They're designed by the same designer, and I'm sure that Bits is here to capitalize on the success of Fits, which was nominated for the Spiel des Jahres. Bits, well, before I get into what I think about the game, why don't we take a look at it, and we'll be right back. Each player gets a plastic tray and takes one of the Bits tiles and places it in that tray. Players also get a pile of tiles, and you can see them here, and these tiles are the same for each player, except they have a different shape in the middle. So you can see this double purple one has two circles, and this blue one here has squares in it, so one person takes all the squares. Players are going to use these tiles and each take one, and that's going to show your starting tile. And whenever you take a tile, your starting tile, or whatever tile, you're going to take it from the top and drop it down. You can drop it sideways, it doesn't matter how you do it, but it has to slide down, just like in Tetris and what have you. Then players are going to turn over a round card, and this card is going to tell you how you're going to be trying to score for that round. And then in player, well actually, not in player turn, but at the same time, you're going to take from a pile of tiles over here, you're going to be drawing the top one of these tiles. You're going to turn that tile over, and it's going to show everybody which tile you're dropping down this turn. So there was a double orange, so this person drops it that way, and this person drops the tile that way. If the next tile then is a red and purple, so this player drops theirs down here, and this person drops theirs over here. It doesn't really matter how you drop it in, but each player has to do it. However, once per round, you may drop your double gray one in instead of one of the tiles that you draw, if you don't want to drop that one in. Now what you're trying to do is you're trying to score points. So you're going to do that by looking at the tile. For example, every shape you get of 4, whatever direction it is, you are going to score 2 points for, and you're going to score 1 point for every 4 you have next to each other. So here, this player would get 1 point for having 4 oranges next to each other. But they would probably get more points if they, let's see, they had it set up so that it looked like this. You can see that they have the T shape, which is worth 2 points at the end of the round. At the end of the round, you'll clear your boards, and then you're going to draw another card. These cards here, you have round 1 and round 2. In round 2, you'll turn over another card, and here you see this one gives 2 points for every 3 reds. It's very specific, not just the color. So you might have different groups that get points for. In round 3, you lose points for having shapes of different sizes. So here you don't want to have any single colors by themselves. And then in round 4, you get lots of points for having larger shapes, all of the same color. But as you do this, as the rounds progress, each of these cards that comes out, the previous cards will stay out. So in round 4, you have all 4 of these things going on at the same time. So every game is going to be different, and as you drop the pieces in, you're trying to match all 4 of these, or I guess in round 3, trying not to match that. The person who has the most points after the 3rd round is the winner, and in the advanced version there's 4 rounds, and whoever has most points after the 4th round is the winner. Okay, before I tell you what I think about Bits, I need to talk a little bit about Fits. Fits is a game that when it came out, I said, wow, Tetris, one of the most popular video games of all time. Now they have a board game version of it, and this is a great family game. It's simple, it's easy. I played it with people, it went over well. Since then, I've brought it out many, many times, because anytime I have any kind of board game, I say, hey, Fits, this is a game that will work, and it does work. But most people, they say, oh, it's interesting, and as time goes by, it's boring. No one wants to go back to it. They enjoyed playing it, but it didn't have any kind of hook or anything that they want to play it again and again and again and again, which is something we look for in board games. Well, Bits is the same thing, if not even a little bit more boring. Don't get me wrong, I see the idea in it as you drop the pieces down and you sit there and try and figure it out. But for some reason, Fits was fascinating because when you drop the pieces down, it's like, oh, how can I fit them together? In Bits, you're dropping down colors, and you know, if I'm going to do something like that, I'll just play Bejeweled or some other game online. This, it just doesn't have any staying power. It's an interesting concept. You're like, oh, but then it feels exactly the same as Fits. So if you really like Fits, this is a variant on it, and you might like it, but I don't see that it offers anything that Fits doesn't. If you don't like Fits, well, then you're not going to like this one either. Or if you thought Fits was kind of okay, well, this is the same thing. And, you know, maybe it's a bit unfair to Bits to compare it to its older brother, but at the same time, even compared by itself, I'm just not seeing anything that grabs me. It's a neat concept, and when you play it, you say, oh, this isn't so bad. But what I find is there's nothing that makes me want to go back and play it again. I played it, I was like, oh. Like, let's play it again. Is there nothing else? And when you say that about a game, then it's not worth keeping. So, it's pretty, it's beautiful, nice components, simple to play, easy to teach, just not interesting enough to keep bringing out.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.